Good evening, everyone. I am Angela Corey, the Special Prosecutor for the Trayvon Martin case. Just moments ago, we spoke by phone with Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin. It was less than 3 weeks ago that we told those sweet parents that we would get answers to all of their questions, no matter where our quest for the truth led us. And it is the search for justice for Trayvon that has brought us to this moment. The team here with me has worked tirelessly looking for answers in Trayvon Martin's death. I want to introduce to you Bernie Delarianda, one of my top homicide prosecutors, and John Guy, my other top homicide prosecutor, who will lead this investigation. With us also is Jim Madden from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Dominic Pate, also one of our special agents in charge, our Sheriff, John Rutherford, and our Undersheriff, Dwayne Centerfit. We appreciate so much all of their cooperation in this. And I especially want to thank my two state attorney investigators, T.C. Osteen and Dale Gilbreth, who have spent countless hours doing what they do best, investigating homicides. Allow me to take a moment to acknowledge our governor, Rick Scott, and his office, Attorney General Pam Bondi and her office, along with our U.S. Attorney, Bobby O'Neill, for their continuing support of our appointment to this case and their support of this investigation. We spoke with all of them briefly and informed them of the results of our investigation and our plan as we continue. I can tell you we did not come to this decision lightly. This case is like a lot of the difficult cases we have handled for years here in our circuit, and we've made this decision in the same manner. Let me emphasize that we do not prosecute by public pressure or by petition. We prosecute based on the facts of any given case, as well as the laws of the state of Florida. When they appointed us to this case less than 3 weeks ago, I want you to know that these two fine prosecutors, despite all that is on their plate already, handling all of the homicides in the 4th Judicial Circuit, supervising the other young lawyers who also handle homicides, they willingly took this case on and said, we will lead this effort to seek justice for Trayvon. We launched an intensive investigation building on all of the work that Sanford Police Department and the State Attorney's Office in Seminole County had already done. Unless you've ever been a law enforcement officer or a prosecutor handling a difficult homicide case, you cannot know what it's like to launch this type of investigation and come to the right conclusion. The Supreme Court has defined our role on numerous occasions as prosecutors that we are not only ministers of justice, we are seekers of the truth. And we stay true to that mission. Again, we prosecute on facts and the laws of the great and sovereign state of Florida, and that's the way it will be in this case. When we took our oath of office in 2009, we pledged not only to look out for our precious victims of all of our cases, but also to adhere to the rules of the criminal justice system and the rules of our Constitution and statutes that protect a defendant's rights as well. When we charge a person with a crime, we are equally committed to justice on their behalf as we are on our victim's behalf. So we are here to do that on behalf of our victim, Trayvon Martin, and on behalf of the person responsible for his death, George Zimmerman. We will continue to seek the truth throughout this case. Every single day, our prosecutors across this great country handle difficult cases, and they adhere to that same standard, a never-ending search for the truth and a quest to always do the right thing for the right reason. There is a reason cases are tried in a court of law, not in the court of the public, and not by the media, because details have to come out in excruciating and minute fashion, detail by detail, bit of evidence by bit of evidence. And it's only then when the trier of fact, whether it's a judge or a jury, gets all of those details, that then the law is applied to that and a decision can be rendered. We will scrupulously adhere to our ethical obligations and to the rules of evidence in presenting this case that way. Today, we filed an information charging George Zimmerman with murder in the 2nd degree. A capias has been issued for his arrest. With the filing of that information and the issuance of a capias, he will have a right to appear in front of a magistrate in Seminole County within 24 hours of his arrest, and thus formal prosecution will begin. We thank all of those people across this country who have sent positive energy and prayers our way. We ask you to continue to pray for Trayvon's family as well as for our prosecution team. I want to especially thank Mr. Crump and Mr. Parks, who have stayed in touch daily with us on behalf of our victim's family. Remember, it is Trayvon's family that are our constitutional victims and who have the right to know the critical stages of these proceedings. I will entertain some questions, but remember, we have very strict rules of ethics, very strict rules of criminal procedure, and we will be adhering to those rules. I will confirm that Mr. Zimmerman is indeed in custody. I will not tell you where. That's for his safety as well as everyone else's safety. I'm sorry. We don't discuss the evidence in a case. It would be improper to do so. It was a full investigation, full facts and circumstances that lead us to any decision in any case. I'm sorry. Mr. Zimmerman turned himself in and was and by turning himself in was arrested on the capias that had already been issued.
Why did it take so long to come to this decision?
Well, it didn't take long. We have many complicated homicides that are thoroughly investigated. Remember, the prosecutor's burden under our Constitution is proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
But it's been 45 days since Trayvon Martin was killed. When you talk about the process being up to it,
well,
drop the ball in the investigation.
I can tell you that this investigation was underway by both the Sanford Police Department and Norm Wolfinger's office. The investigation was in full mode, and the governor appointed us less than 3 weeks ago, and we took the work that they had done, which was significant. We carried on with that work, and we arrived at our decision approximately last week. And then, of course, following proper Florida law and procedure, we had to make sure we had everything in place to issue this capias and make this arrest. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Well, that's what will be in court, detail by detail, piece of evidence by piece of evidence, factual evidence, physical evidence, testimonial evidence. That's why we try cases in a courtroom.
Can you tell us whether Mr. Zimmerman is in the state of Florida? Is there already a bonding process underway?
I can tell you that in Seminole County, and I want to thank their chief judge, he was very kind in helping us start setting these procedures up last week. He informed us that they have a bond schedule there. And when a capias is issued, there is originally no bond, but that Mr. Zimmerman's lawyers will be entitled to request a bond, at which point a bond hearing will be held. Bond hearings are a common occurrence. Our lawyers handle them every day, and that's where that will be determined as to whether or not no bond, which is the bond set currently on the capias, will be changed by the court. Yes, ma'am. That would be commenting on the facts of the case, and we're not going to do that at this time. Yes, Catherine.
Talk about why your investigation led you to a second-degree murder charge,
Well, I don't believe that question is accurate in the sense that when you have a homicide, Florida's jury instructions even say that before you can reach a degree of homicide, you have to determine whether a person has committed an excusable homicide or a justifiable homicide. All murders are homicides, but not all homicides are murders. And Florida's law clearly says that if there is the affirmative defense of, for example, excusable homicide or justifiable homicide, that should be determined before you go to the degree of the crime. That's the process this case took. The only slight delay was the fact that the governor stepped in and appointed us to take this case over and handled it, and we did.
So did San Francisco conduct a full if they had conducted a full investigation, do you believe San Francisco police would have arrived at the same point?
We work together with our law enforcement officers here. As you see, I have my sheriff and our undersheriff here. We work with all of our law enforcement agencies where we try to work these cases together. Remember, prosecutors are law enforcement as well. And we work these cases with our investigating agencies, and we try to come to as many mutual decisions as we can. This case was in that process when the governor stepped in and appointed us to take it over. We have continued to work with the Sanford Police Department. We got full cooperation and all of the significant documents and records from Mr. Wolfinger's office, and then Bernie and John and their team took this over and did a lot more work, and we came to our conclusion based on the facts and Florida's law. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, the maximum sentence for second-degree murder would be life in prison. Is it your desire, as the prosecutor of this case, to see him go to jail for life?
We don't make that determination at this time. What we are committed to do is get this case through the court system, and then, and if it goes to the trier of fact as the judge or the trier of fact of the jury, once there is a decision, then we would concern ourselves with the sentence. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I have not personally been contacted. I do understand that he may have retained new counsel in the past couple of hours. If he did, I wouldn't be able to comment on it. I want you to know up front that one of the specific things we're not allowed to discuss are the statements of a defendant charged with a crime. And again, it's a constitutional protection that you all should be happy law enforcement affords every person charged with a crime. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? I will not comment on where Mr. Zimmerman is. I can tell you he is within the custody of law enforcement officers in the state of Florida, and he will be taken when it's appropriate for the appropriate appearance in front of a judge.